Kia ora te, kia ora rā kōtou, e noho haumaru mai nei o kōtou nā kāina, huri noa I te motu ki te ao. Nei mātou nei e noho nei I roto o te mānuka tūtahi, te tauna o te waka o te waka o mātāsua. Nō reire mihi atana ki a kōtou e nā rangatira huri noa I te motu ki te ao. Yeah, and so greetings, kia ora koutou, kia ora Aaron, and we got a manuhiri over here. He'll introduce himself, And so he gonna Don.
Don McGlashan, hi everybody. Kia ora koutou.
Let me bring up the Don cohort. Hang on. Where are you? Here we go. There you are.
I'm there.
Yeah. So
Koutou, everybody.
yeah, I think we will go straight on to Don. It's yours, Don.
Oh.
Give us
Hang on.
Can I say hi first?
yeah. Sorry.
No, that's all good, my father. Geez, you're always on a rush, eh? Here, there, everywhere. No wonder you lost your phone today.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Bloody iPhone 12.
An iPhone 12, then sort of lying somewhere between here and where do you think he
No,
lost it?
last time he lost his phone, and luckily then I had found my iPhone. Obviously he'd left it on top of his car, and so I found it between Ruatoki and Taniatua and long grass on the side of the road. Unfortunately, this time around, I don't know, maybe he thought I was tracking him, maybe he thought somebody was tracking him, he turned Find My iPhone off, and so it's offline.
You lose your phone at all, Don?
Yeah, I do. I'm not sure what long grass it ends up in.
Yeah.
Probably long grass in West Auckland somewhere. I'm still not paranoid about anybody tracking me because I don't think anybody would bother.
Back in the day, I used to lose my phone when I was on the grass.
Yeah.
Well, kia ora, Don. Hey, thanks for joining us today.
It's a pleasure.
I just for the folks out there, kia ora to everyone on Twitch and on Facebook. We've got. I bumped into Don. Don is doing something tomorrow and was needing a little bit of technical help. So I thought, and the connection I thought was a good connection was the fact you want to tell everyone what you're doing tomorrow, Don?
Yeah, I'm playing a couple of songs at the end of a celebration, which is an anniversary of the Springbok Tour. Resistance Against the Springbok Tour. It's a sort of celebration of John Minto's work. It was going to be a live event in Auckland, but it's a Zoom event now. And I think John's also going to be talking a lot about Palestine during the course of it. But I'm just playing a couple of songs to round it off.
Sure. And the I just when you mentioned that, I thought, I wondered actually if you and Dad had ever crossed paths during the Springbok Tour and some of the actions there.
I don't think so. I did a few marches, and I was a very shy, like 19-year-old or 18-year-old, and I got arrested and held under the stands of the third test. So we were all trying to get into the game, and then the ones who got arrested just got put in a black paddy wagon and actually driven underneath the test. So we got exactly where we wanted to be, but in handcuffs. So exactly not right. But I don't think I might have seen you on some marches, Tame, but not to say.
We didn't meet up in the cells.
Eh?
We didn't meet up in the cells.
In the police cells.
In the cells. I was in the cells that night, and they put me together with my English lecturer, and we were sitting there talking about Pinter and Brecht in Auckland Central. So it was a very strange conversation to have in Auckland Central.
Okay.
Crazy. Where was the third test? Was that in Auckland?
That was in Auckland. Yep.
Yeah.
Auckland. That was the last one, with the Mark and bought the airplane. Chop in Flower Bombs.
Mark Jones.
Yeah, Mark Jones.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, he was in the party and he got expelled for doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I took his place. He had a band called the Red Flag Bush Band, and
yes.
while he was inside, it's a good band, real rabble rousing band. And while he was inside, I took his place in the band and did a bunch of gigs with those guys.
Okay. And then did you meet up with Macquarie, the old man that started the? They assumed that he was the one that actually stopped the Springbok Tour, the game in Hamilton. He's the first. He was a guy. He was a he was a Spitfire pilot back in the Second World War.
Yeah.
And then he worked in South Africa as a flying doctor. He was flying the planes, and he didn't like what happened in South Africa. So as a result of that, he was the one that actually started pinching airplanes, because they're trained to liberate airplanes. They can pick up their plane. So he liberated one from Papakura, I think. Yeah. And he started flower bomb the South African softball team that was there. Yeah, weighted it was on my shoulders. Actually, he would have been about three years old, and so I went up to the protest up in Papakura against the South African softball team. So that guy Macquarie, you know, he's an amazing guy. Interesting guy. So did you ever meet up with him? So there was really the two pilots, and Macquarie and Mark Jones.
The people I know from the test that was stopped, the Hamilton test, are the top twins. My mates, the top twins, because we're always doing marches with them, and they would sing, and I would sing. They were kind of more senior than me, so they would sing their songs, and I would suggest songs to sing, and then they would overrule me, because I was junior at that stage. And then there's also my mate Jeff Chappell, who was a protester and ended up writing the book on the tour. We wrote 1981 the tour. A journalist and a musician, so I was in a band with him for quite a lot of years as well. But that's my connection to the only connection to the tour that was stopped, the game that was stopped.
And was this pre Mutton Bird?
Yeah, it was during Blam Blam Blam. I remember we kind of had to stop our tour because there was protests, and we got involved in them, and then we got on the road, and we went on the road in the winter of 1981, and we played this song that we were already playing. It wasn't written for the tour. It was the words were written by a guy called Richard von Sturmer, and I wrote the music, and it was a song called "There Is No Depression in New Zealand," and that got that people, I kind of started to associate that with the tour. So in later years, when people look back on the tour and they wanted to make a documentary of it, they tended to use that song. I can play you that if you want.
Yeah, love to hear it, Don. That'd be amazing.
Very cool.
Yeah.
You tell me if it's the right kind of, if it's conducive to your artwork, Tame.
Oh no, anything will do, my bro. Anything will do.
I'm trying to. We're going to play it on this next tour that we're doing, and we're going to stretch it out, because when we wrote the song, we were young punks, and we thought guitar solos were indulgent. So we didn't have any guitar solos. We had no time for them. So I've kind of stretched it out so that we can start to have some guitar solos in it. There's no unrest in this country. We have no dole queues. We have no drug addicts. We have no racism. We have no sexism. No, no, there is no depression in New Zealand. There are no teeth in our heads. There is no depression in New Zealand. We sleep in a well-made bed. Everybody's talking about World War III. Everybody's talking about World War III, but we're as safe can be. There's no unrest in this country. We have no SIS. We have no secret. We have no rebellion. We have no Valium. No, no, there is no depression in New Zealand. There are no sheep on our farm. There is no depression in New Zealand. We can all keep perfectly calm. Perfectly calm. Perfectly calm. Perfectly calm. Perfectly
Wow.
Dope.
I like your words. Nā kupu. Beautiful.
I like the sarcasm.
You know?
It was a sarcastic era.
Yeah.
We need more sarcasm,
Yeah, I
Don.
love it. So nice to hear that.
It really helps to deal with things that are, you know, what else are you going to do but be sarcastic about it?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm becoming less sarcastic as I get older.
Well, that's good.
I don't know why. You want another one?
Yeah.
This is just a story song. Dominion Road. Dominion Road is bending under its own weight. like a strip cut from a sheet metal plate, 'cause it's just been raining. Jane had reached the point where she knew what he meant before he'd opened his mouth. He couldn't say the same, or he'd have guessed she was moving south with one of his friends. But it's getting better now. He found it in him to forgive. He walked the city, and he found a place to live in a halfway house, halfway down Dominion Road. Oh, when he watched Jane's brother sell the house, he felt no sense of loss. More like a mountain climber looking back, having made it across the steepest face. But he's still climbing. See him trying to cross the street. He tests his footing like he was up 10,000 feet above the clouds, halfway down Dominion Road. Getting better now. He rests his head on the windowsill and watches the city. He can see the antennas in the hills from the halfway house, halfway down Dominion Road. Halfway down, halfway down, halfway down Dominion Road. Halfway down, halfway down, halfway down Dominion Road. Whoa.
Beautiful.
Man, what an honor, Don. It's just fucking choice to sit here and listen to you, my bro. It's cool.
It is. It's amazing.
I forgot why. I forgot to turn on the button that you asked me to turn on.
Yeah, no, it hasn't been an issue actually, Don. So let's just roll with it. It's been pretty. You're sounding great. So
you were just winding me up, telling me to turn on that button before I sang.
Maybe. I was wondering about it in the last song, but no, it sounds great. There's nothing wrong. So no, like Toy said, it's amazing to have you here.
People are loving it on Facebook too, Don. They're just saying what a treat. Yeah.
You didn't tell me there were going to be people out there.
Yeah. Yeah, mihi tu mai panai na mihi rāwhiti chou. Na mihi kia koe kare ina na choice hua sendea te ringe na mihi kia koutou e hoa mai na uri. Aaron
Oz was saying that he stayed at a halfway house on Dominion Road during the trial, the trials back in 2012, because Oz was one of the four on trial, and he said it was an activist house at that point, a halfway house on Dominion Road. So
all the vegans, all the anarchists. All the
I love how you
kamas
put vegans and activists and
Anarchists.
and anarchists.
Yes, yeah.
I just learnt the other day that where I grew up on the north shore of Auckland,
Yeah.
which nowadays would not be considered anarchist in anybody's book, but anywhere north of about Milford was considered to be where vegans or vegetarians, they hadn't invented vegans in those days, but vegetarians and anarchists and nudists lived.
Oh,
So it's certainly, I don't remember that from my childhood, but maybe they're all doing that behind closed doors.
the old closet vegan.
yeah.
I'm just gonna check some music on there. What have we got there? So Don, tell me what's you've been overseas for a while. You've been living over there, and
I live about, for about the last 10 years, I've lived some of the time in Vancouver and some of the time here, my wife, I got married 3 years ago. My wife lives in Vancouver, and she lived with me here in New Zealand for a while, and then she moved back to Vancouver because she's got a job there. So yeah, while she's got the job there, I'm moving between the two places because my work goes with me. I just write songs, can do that anywhere. So I come back here to Aotearoa to see my grown-up kids and see my family and to do tours. And I was supposed to be on tour right now, but because of COVID, we've made it later, and we're releasing the album in February, and we're going to be touring from February through to April.
Cool.
from February through to April. I see. Well, hopefully.
How many stops are you making, Don?
We're doing some festivals in February, and then in March we're going to Australia for a week, and then we're coming back in late March and late March through to the middle of April. We're doing the whole country with the loud band, and then in this next spring, I'm going to come back and do a much broader tour, just solo or duo. That's what I've been doing lately when I release a record. I sort of get a band together for as long as I can afford them, and then tour the whole country, and then come back a few months later and tour to a much wider tour, going to much more far-flung places.
I mean, because it's hard enough being in normal times, a working musician and hitting the gigs, and I mean, it must be incredibly tough now with COVID on.
Yeah, I mean, the hardest thing, well, there's a few things going on. One thing is, of course, overseas acts aren't coming here, so there is a bit of a boom for local touring. Not when we're locked down, but when we're not locked down, there's a lot of the audience, the New Zealand audience, are sort of discovering that they really care about local songs, local acts, and that's a fantastic thing. But with all of the cancellations and all of the lockdowns, now what's happening is everybody's rescheduling their tour. So I'm having trouble getting my tour together in March because I'm losing musicians and they're going off playing other things. So it's been really challenging lately. And a lot of musicians are doing it hard. You know, people that maybe aren't at the level where they're doing national tours. You know, they've maybe got a gig, and that gig doesn't exist right now because the venue can't open. So I'm part of a charity called Music Helps, and we've been doing a lot of stuff to try and keep venues going and give working musicians and crew and the people that drive the trucks, give them a bit of help. To sort of supplement the help they can get from the government.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's a great organisation, Music Helps, and I know they've
to do with it too, way.
Yeah, a little bit. And I know that they just did a round of resurgent payment. I can't quite remember the term, but I think it was the resurgence support payments that they were giving out. They did, and we're waiting to see if maybe they have another round. But you know, I know in the previous lockdown there was a lot of focus on trying to raise money. They got money from the government as well. So it's a great organisation. Yeah.
I got money from Spotify too. Got a whack of money from Spotify, which is amazing because for most musicians, Spotify is kind of is one of the things that's robbing us of our livelihood. You know, because we can't sell records anymore. But that's an old guy talking.
Well, here you are.
And are you saying that things with Spotify have improved a bit, or you just got loads of people listening?
They were great in that Spotify, the organisation gave a bunch of money to Music Helps in order to help.
Okay, yeah.
So, no, I mean, there probably is a way to make it work on Spotify. I just haven't. The whole thing alarms me. I must admit.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, here you are live streaming with Tame Iti now, so you know.
Yeah, well, I've obviously been able to curtail my alarm to a degree.
And so during, although I guess the performance side of things has been challenging, as you were saying, but what about in terms of songwriting? Has it been a good time to do it, or no?
Yeah, wonderful. I mean, I mean, my life, I live quite quietly, and you know, you wouldn't really notice the difference between me locked down and me not locked down. And so I stay home and write songs, and I've written a lot. And mainly they're things that I've had in my workbooks. You know, I go through one of these about once every, I don't know, on a good year I'll go through 2 of them.
Right.
And they're full of these things which might turn into songs. Actually, they're not. They're like, about 3/4 of them is shopping lists and what I have to do today.
Right.
But the other bit is things that might turn into songs, and I've still got books like that from like 20 years ago that I haven't completely found everything in them yet. You know, so in the lockdown it was brilliant because I was able to go back and really learn, really find things that I'd completely forgotten and think maybe now's the time for a song to come out.
Right.
Yeah, so it's been great.
We've noticed that since Dad has got his studio, and Dad, have you found yourself more creative during lockdown?
Oh, totally. Probably the most I ever been. You know, and particularly at the beginning of the lockdown, you know, and I just stayed put for about 3-4 weeks, and I really didn't do anything. You know, and just breathing really, and putting myself in my little wee bubbles. Yeah, and then boom, just like that. And I haven't stopped painting ever since. And that's nearly 2 years now. And I'm quite motivated by it because it's allowed me, I think the lockdown helped me, well, for all of us. I think for artists in the way we are, and to be more creative about doing this like here. And so last year I just used my iPhone, and I got my iPhone and work like that. And work like that. And yeah, like I said that before, is I end up with about nearly 400 shopping bags, paper bags. And still up for sale online, and so yep. But also, you know, I'm getting on a bit, you know, moving on to another stage of my life, and I think I almost there discover freedom in a way for me to be able to do what I want to do. So I've done all those 50 years throwing rocks, hip-butting, getting locked up, getting smashed, all of that. I experienced all of that. But I think that at this later stage, I found myself to be, I think this is where I've been. It kind of saved my life, really. Well, I'll be still hard out, but I remember one of my whanauna, Nahiraka, said to me, "Tame, you should work full-time artist." You know, but I was doing too many other things. And she was right, very right. And I clicked on to it, what she was saying to me a few years ago. And so that's where I am today. And so I'm just going to carry on painting till I can't move, can't think, can't remember things. But and this is what I'm going to do.
I just had a vision of my future. Of course,
Kira.
yeah. As a carer for my father, and you know, during lockdown, I rediscovered my love of gaming, and
There you
maybe not quite so artistic, but actually this platform that we've gathered here, which came out of watching people on Twitch and going, oh well, why don't we take gaming and what they're doing on Twitch and live streaming and combine it here, and oh well, this is what we got.
Don, do you find, so in terms of your 19-year-old self getting stuck in the paddy wagon under the stands of was it Eden Park? Is that where it was?
Yeah.
And then, and sort of what your where you were at artistically then, and sort of where you are artistically now. I mean, it seems like an obvious sort of question in terms of the development, but what do you think you'd tell your 19-year-old self?
Well, I was just thinking that listening to your dad talking, because Tame, it's wonderful to hear that notion that at every stage in your life you can sort of go, no, this is what I do. I'm an artist. This is what I do. I have to keep doing it. And when I was younger, maybe 18, maybe 19, I asked my friend Richard von Sturmer, who's the guy who wrote the lyrics to that song. He's a bit older than me, so he was like a mentor for us at school. You know, we were all sort of running around being radical and drinking, and he was being a poet, you know, and he was cooler than us. But I said, I just don't know. I don't know whether I'm an artist or not. You know, I don't know if I'm any good. I don't know if. How do you know? How do you know if that's what you're supposed to do? And he said, I was kind of fishing for compliments. I think I was kind of I wanted him to say, "Oh no, you're really good. You're an artist. You know, you got to be an artist." He didn't say anything like that. He just said, "Don, you know you're an artist if you get sick when you don't do art." I thought that's so cool. You know, like you get sick if you don't do it.
Yeah.
That's the best reason to do it. You know, keep doing it because it's part of your world. It's part of your health. You know, it's part of what you have to do. You need to do it in the same way that you need to breathe and you need to do exercise. You know, so you know that's probably what I would say to my 19-year-old self. But it's a lesson that it's a lesson that I keep forgetting all the way through my life. I keep forgetting, and I have to remember it, or have to be forced to remember it over and over again. And I hope that probably that process of forgetting and remembering will keep going until I die. You know?
Yeah, the same.
It's good to know we're all human.
Yeah. Well, death is a place that we can never be able to avoid. They always come to meet up with us, you know. And I think that I'm only just discovering this whole concept of freedom, freedom of expression, and I'm more determined about that in my later age, and just trying to talking to you and talk to many other people. This is what we call our marae atea. And I don't have to go to the marae down the road and go, this is our marae, in the place there we can have a whai kōrero and have a chat, you know, all of that. And I think that if the tipuna was around there, if they had this technology 200 years ago, I tell you what, they would have been doing the same thing what I'm doing, or what we're doing today. Yeah. I'm damn sure of it, you know. And
it's an interesting idea that, you know, there are a lot of people out there who kind of think of you as a freedom fighter. So the idea that you could be discovering what freedom is at this time in your life is kind of is quite an interesting idea to kind of think about. So it's changed in your view in terms of what you might have thought that you were fighting for.
There seems to be a mixed bunch about freedom. Freedom of expression and having a voice. I think there's several parts to it as I see it. and you know, I'm really happy as to where I am at this stage. You know, and it's a feeling that I can feel it. You know, and I'm really quite excited about it. And yeah, you know, and you know, I hear all these other conversations about people, you know, particularly around the vaccine. You know, those for and those are not for. You know, and so there seems to be a lot of discussion about people talking about freedom, and they don't want to be under dictatorship, and some people feel they're under dictatorship or communism. You know, the Labour government. So I don't see that at all. So I think everybody have a different view and different thought around about this freedom. But freedom for me is to be able to be who I am at this later stage of life, and just continue to tell a story. And it's a great platform being an artist. And I'm still learning. I'm still trying to be creative. I don't think I haven't reached to where I need to be. So that's why it's really important to have a studio like this, and I think that's good not for me, but the biggest thing for me, working where I am now, I got Wairere and Toi here with me. And so we work as a team, we work as a whānau, we work because they're pretty creative. So it helped me, they can do some other parts, I can do this part. And so it enabled to be more creative, come in with some, you know, some ideas.
I think it's great, Dad, that you are able to evolve and change, that you aren't locked into having to, you know, especially a person like yourself who gets very much boxed into, well, people project what they want onto you, and that you're actually able to redefine yourself. And I think certainly in this age where, like you were just saying, and I thought we were actually going to have a vaccine. I was in the hope we'd have a vaccine-free cordial tonight, but you brought it up. But I think it's really important, the voice of the artists, because, you know, I might have been a bit facetious but earlier, Don, saying, you know, the sarcasm, but, you know, when you put things artistically, it's less about information or misinformation, and it's more about what you're feeling and how people feel different ways. And I think the voice of the artists in these kinds of spaces are really important, because we're talking about things that are sometimes too big to define into these narrow corridors, and artists are able to open those spaces up a bit more. So yeah,
I mean, when you know, you make art to describe the world from where you're standing, and when you do that, and with any luck, if you've done it, if your tools are sharp, then somebody will listen to your art, or see your picture, or look at your dance, or read your book, and they'll feel something of what you felt, which made you want to make the piece of art. So the circle's closed. You know, you've made somebody feel more human, and the process of doing that, you have to really open yourself up. And when you're making a song, or making a painting, or making a dance, or whatever, you have to not know what's going to come. You have to look inside yourself and not really know what your end product's going to be. So, and that's what makes it. That creates an interesting tension if you're trying to write something that's an angry protest thing, or that you want to make people feel a particular thing. There's an interesting contradiction there, because you've already set the end product, you've already set the goal, and that's why there's so few good protest songs, I reckon. They're really hard to write. You know, they're much more sort of two-dimensional than three-dimensional generally. But I'm thinking about that a lot these days, because there's a song on my new album, which is it's about Parihaka, but it's sort of it's basically just saying this is what happened on the day. This is the evil that John Bryce and his people did. We shouldn't commemorate this. We shouldn't commemorate Guy Fawkes on the 5th of November. We should commemorate Parihaka Day, and that's been a real interesting journey for me, because I wanted to write it from a Pākehā perspective. I didn't want to, tell a Māori story. I wanted to, because I feel that it's a Pākehā story as well. We didn't learn about it in school, and we were deprived of that information. So anyway, it's been a really interesting process for me. I've been in touch with the Parihaka Papakainga Trust, and I've been talking to them. Just got a lot of interesting feedback about it. I don't know what's going to happen when we finally release this song. We played it around the country a bit last year, but it made me really think about that difference between protest art and art. And if you can marry the two, you can make something which has a message but is also good art. That's very rare, I think. And I know you've done it a few times, Tame, I feel.
Yeah.
Don, would you play that for us?
Oh, I'll give it a go. It's not. I'm not really set up to do it, but I'll give it a go.
Amazing.
Okay. Let's try it again. Okay. In front of the troops there's children dancing, horses stamping, sabers drawn, on a bright November morning. Women sitting singing songs, Minister Bryce polished his medals, declare that no one from the press should witness the upcoming battle. Official reports were all suppressed. They burnt the houses, smashed the gardens, kept the men without a trial, the leaders south in irons, locked them in a stony jail. No one faltered, no one wavered. In peace they stood up for their rights. Just as night brings on the morning, so patient struggle brings the light. At school we learned about old England, not a word about this place. Religious strife in the 1600s, what's that got to do with us? Let's put a new guy on the bonfire, let the bonfire blaze away. Light up John Bryce on the 5th of November, make it Parihaka Day. Hey, make it Parihaka Day, hey, make it Parihaka Day, hey, make it Parihaka Day, hey, make it Parihaka Day.
Woo! Amazing.
Well, it's. Yeah. I've got to work out how to play that solo. It sounds great with the whole band wailing away.
I know. I love it.
That sounded great there, Don.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
I just wanted to go, fuck John Bryce.
Yeah.
Well, it's been
Put them on the bonfire.
That's
I
an
love
interesting
it. I love it.
for me because I write, like I have trouble writing angry songs. I write my songs. I take a while, and I think to write an angry song, you've got to write it fast. You know,
Yeah.
it's and what I do is I sit down, and then after about a week of working on the song, the angry edges get sanded off.
Yeah.
You know, and polished and varnished a bit, and it turns into a kind of angry but melancholy kind of song. And a lot of my songs end up happy but melancholy, loving but melancholy.
For me, the anger was the anger was just in the rhythm of that.
Oh yes, yeah. This is different. This one's different because it sort of came out in a rush, and I didn't really want to say to people, "Let's put John Bryce on the bonfire," but that's what ended up in the song, and it felt like the right lyric. And I've got interestingly, it seems contrary to Te Whiti and Tohu's teaching.
Yeah.
You know? But on the other hand, it's not. I don't want to preach to the converted. I would really like a kind of Pākehā kid who really liked angry music, heavy metal music, dark music. You know, I'd really like that kid to listen to the song and go, I like that beat. What's that about? And go and look it up. You know, so that's I'm aiming it at those people rather than aiming it at people that might know about the teachings of the two prophets. You know, I don't know. So I've been on a bit of a journey in the process of writing this, and I think I've got a long way to go yet.
Yeah. It's the same for me here in painting. You know, in telling a story. Even writing, I'm still writing. I will not speak Maori. We had to do those. We had to tell those stories. You had to share your feelings, and I think that's why I really love the lyrics, and in your song, in your waiata, because it's a similar thing from a musician to an artist, and so we put it out there, so people can hear it, they can see it, so they can see the mind. People need to know this. People need to know that we had to write hundreds and hundreds of lines until to the stage of it. I don't think I'm going to carry on doing that, so I just shut my mouth. But people need to know their story. So people need to hear the story or feeling about this. You know, your tipuna, the Pākehā tipuna, and then people need to hear that, how we feel today. Yeah. Not just cool. Ka pai e hoa, pai to waiata. Pai to waiata.
I feel like we're just hanging out with a couple of old activists. You know, OG. Old in a good way, just original, you know, just like, not like some of these new ones along who are speaking like this. Lions do not take advice from sheep.
Yeah. Hey, Aaron. Yeah, I see Aaron getting all worked up. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all good, Aaron. It's all good, my bro.
All good, though. But all good, Aaron. Just learn to breathe, bro. Just breathe.
I did hear something the other day. Actually, I thought was quite good, which was like dropping the whole Guy Fawkes thing, and then in doing something on around Matariki.
Yeah. Well, that might be good because it's a celebration. But in the same way, you could argue that in the same way that the Catholic Church, when it went into like South America, they put their cathedrals on the top of sacred sites, on the top of sites that were already sacred, and they co-opted existing holidays. They just changed the names of existing holidays. So people kept doing the same stuff, but they had they had different people telling them what to do, and they're paying tributes to a different bunch of people. So you could kind of use that.
Yeah.
People already celebrate, you know, like Guy Fawkes is kind of like a early summer festival for us. It's like in New Zealand, it's a harvest festival in the Northern Hemisphere, but it's here it's like and I always used to love it because I love the smell of gunpowder. I love the fact that adults do silly things like Guy Fawkes. They run around acting foolish. you know, and when I was a kid, that was the only time that adults ever did anything foolish, you know.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, maybe, you know, maybe that's a good reason to sort of co-opt that rather than just say, well, we're not going to celebrate that anymore. Just say we're going to celebrate something else. And I think it's a conversation among the conversations that we could have.
It's like the whole idea, Don, around, you know, taking down statues. It's not about forgetting or sanitizing the past. The past is the past. The history is the history. It doesn't mean that we still have to continue to glorify them through civic monuments. And if you take those monuments down, that in itself is a reframing or an acknowledgement of how that history existed within that period, and now we've evolved and moved into another space.
Yeah.
But we're getting...
No, I definitely think all the statues should be at least either taken down, or the current statues of men in funny hats with eyeglasses should be either taken down or balanced with another statue next door to them of Kupe, or, you know, I reckon I really feel strongly about that. But I don't know the case in this case whether you could have Guy Fawkes coexisting with a festival that celebrated peaceful resistance and commemorated what happened at Parihaka. You know, I don't know. It's an interesting thought.
Actually, and Aaron's saying there that you know, Matua Tame, when tangata told you to pull back, and when you spoke pono, you shot the kupapa flag. Did you stand down? No, you didn't. You didn't stand down. You stayed staunch within that space. And I think, you know, from what you were saying before, Don, I think anger does have its place. Of course it is. It's a response. And, you know, but I would say, Aaron, that there's times also for the teachings of Te Whiti, for the teachings of a different approach. Would you say that, Dad? Because you've shifted into another space. You're not the tip of the spear anymore. You're kind of moved into another space.
Yeah, but I think you got to be smart. The thing about tikana and kawa, you got to know what it is, how to make use of the space. You know, and you know, so when you go to the marae, that's a safe place. You can nut out, you can do whatever, because that's tumatauina, and make use of the space. Yeah, you know, but people see it quite differently now. So I haven't changed my thought around that, and known those spaces, because I used to remember Eva Rickard, they're very smart, and so they couldn't shut her up. And particularly, and I can't remember, she just went underneath the mahau of the whare, right in the front. So anybody can stand in the mahau of the whare, and she can sing, you know. So she's putting the challenge to our own through singing, just like you singing there. But she does her waiata, and so nobody could stop her. So you got to know how to use their space and be smart about it. And it's just like what we're doing today. So we make use of the new world, of the technology, and then enable us to do what we're doing Wednesday, Saturday, and share our thoughts. And because that's where we are now. You know, so you don't have to go to the marae, you don't have to organise. We just do it right here, and then we can talk to the mass and share our thoughts. That's really
the other
important.
one is there's a little, you know, because if you were, you know, untrained and you'd look at a wero, you'd think that was some angry guy coming at you with a stick. You know, and then, but it is more just about that challenge.
Are you talking to me, Simon?
So I'm pointing them over too. I'm giving them physical directions to move over into shot.
Oh yeah.
I distracted
I was just saying,
him.
Dad, that the wero, you know, if you were to look at the wero, it would look like it was an angry guy.
Mm.
Oh yeah. But
you know, on the marae atia, on that atia, you go in context. It's like it's supposed to provoke you. It's supposed to, you know,
because that's what I was saying about the music. It's got a certain rhythm to it, you know. Because in te reo Māori, anger is riri, and that's more of a vibration. It's more of an energy, and that's why I'd say to you, Aaron. I'm not saying that you're angry, not saying that you're angry, but like that angry energy, that riri, that particular kind of energy, like when you're doing the wero or you're having to go out and do
or
that.
Playing your guitar, like really
There's a time and a place for that, because it hits, the human soul in a different way to a different kind of different energies. Hey, that's what you're saying, hey, Dad?
Yeah, in the puku. They're called pukuriri. In the pukuriri, so we particularly for most of us, for me, we tend to store all our garbage in our puku right here. Yeah. So we need to learn how to release it. It go, it get ugly. But we need a safe place there that enable us to be, I have a feeling, I'm feeling fucking pissed off today. Where do I go to without people making judgment of that? And so we do have a tikana, a cover around that enable us to release it from our puku, and let it go. So we go, so you go, and you feel good. And when you're in a state of mind, a lot of this is a mental thing in our head. We can feel get all hyped up, and we get loud, and we get loud, so we need to just a moment, those time, maybe 2 minutes, 5 minutes. How do you get to hikoi? Go for a walk and then let it go, and then we come back again. So it's okay to be angry. It's okay to be those things, but you just need to know how do you deal with that stuff that's in your puku.
I always found that it was anger.
Yeah,
because anger is often a response to being sad. Sometimes when I've been my angriest, and then you have a good tangi because I'm actually sad about something. Heck, I'm not so angry anymore. And sometimes some of our men out there, I feel like, just need to have a safe space to be vulnerable and to be able to have a good tangi, and then they wouldn't be so angry. Maybe.
As I get older, I'm able to focus my anger to make it more effective. So if I turn on the radio, listen to somebody that I really disagree with, and instead of wanting to go and punch the wall or kick the cat or something, I can sit down and write something, and it channels it. And I never used to be able to do that. I think as I get older and I'm getting more, I'm just learning about this craft of being an artist. That I can put more shades of me, more different parts of me can go into my work, and it's really helpful. It's really healthy for me. And there's a song on this album, for instance. There's a song. I lost a really close friend, and I just really, I didn't want to write an elegy like a kind of, thing about how wonderful she was and how good she was to people and how generous she was and all that. I just wanted to write something. I saw these pigeons, flying around, and I thought, all that life, they're dumb. They don't do anything. They don't help anybody, and they've got all that life. And how come they've got it and she hasn't? That's not fair. And I just wanted to write something about that. And I thought, well, I'll never be able to follow it through. It'll probably turn into something else, or that'll be sometimes I have songs where the scaffolding falls away. I have an idea that starts the song, and then after a while that verse has got to go because it doesn't fit, But this one is on the album, and it pretty much holds one idea all the way through, and it's just about that. It's just about that. That sense of anger and loss that somebody went too young, and I think as a younger writer I wouldn't have been able to do it. Wouldn't have been able to hold on to that simple idea and drive it through. So that that's progress too.
Yeah, for sure.
Sure.
I feel that feels like a perfect segue, actually, Don, into.
I keep talking about songs that.
No, it's perfect. It's great. It makes it easy for us because we're like, oh, well, let's hear it. So it's such an honor and a treat, bro. So we really appreciate you being here.
Well, let me see if I can play it. I'm not sure if I can. Let me just try to get the chords. When we walked around the hills on the way to get your mail, heads. The sand stung out, I couldn't get a word in. I still can hear your voice giving me advice, so clear and certain. Now I can't see you any place. I don't have that kind of faith to find you. All I know is the flag should be half-mast and the Air Force should fly past and sign your name so high up against the sky. When we walked around the hills on the way to get your meds, couldn't get a word in. Apparently this town, just to keep on keeping on, is able to forget you. The working week begins, people lean into the wind, except you don't get to. I can't believe this is the end. This is not the way it's meant to happen. Dumb pigeons taking flight, what gives them the right to take up all the space they do and leave no space for you? When we walked around the hills on the way to get your meds, sand stung our faces, clouds raced across the sky, and the spray crashed up so high you could almost taste it. It goes la 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 at the end, not because I ran out of words, just because the band takes over and it gets really loud at the end. So I've never played that one solo before.
Cool.
And fuck those pigeons too.
Yeah, but there's it would be quite time consuming to fuck them all because there's so many.
I didn't mean literally, Don. Figuratively speaking. No, beautiful, my bro. Beautiful.
Sorry, I realised my mic's off and I'm talking away here. Yes, beautiful, Don. And I just, you mentioned something earlier on, which was the Top Twins.
Yeah.
we've been working with our good friend Te Whenua Harawira, who's working on a bit of a project at the moment around some of the old protest songs. And so we've got a project coming up later next year that we're trying to get off the ground, which involves us building something on Parliament grounds to commemorate Ngā Tamatoa, the presentation of the
Petition mo te reo.
the petition, and the tent embassy. And so this is all kind of coming together. It's a kind of like I guess the idea is about the evolution of protest back from when Dad and yourself were doing it, through to what it looks like today, but also what it might end up being in the future. And so but part of that is kind of looking at the old protest songs. And I know that the Top Twins, was it Ngāhi Wee? Was that the one that they were involved with?
Hidden in Melbourne wrote it.
Melbourne.
My understanding is that he went to New Caledonia to some sort of convention. Yeah, and he went away with a group. Went off with a small group of people, and then came up with that song. Maybe teaching it to some Kanak activists, and the Tops brought it back, and started doing it at they started doing it at marches, and then they never, as far as I know, they'd never recorded it. And then quite late in the piece, they asked me to produce an album, and we did a version of that song with my band playing and them singing it, and it was I'm really proud of that. That was a great thing to be able to do.
So is there a recording of that, Don? Is that what you're saying?
It's on the Top Twins album that we made back in about 2010, and I produced it, and my band was the backing band for it. So it's a good version. But there's been a few different versions of that song, I think, recorded. But my feeling is that they were maybe that was the first Pākehā version, or the first version sung predominantly by Pākehā.
Yeah. Well, I was at the hui down Ohinimutu at Whaka.
Yep.
And when they, because there was a big hui there in Rotorua, there was a bit of a protest about going to the festival down in New Caledonia. And so we spent 3 or 4 days. So that's what, when Hirini was there, they came up with their waiata. And,
Fantastic. Yep.
Heaps of people, I just can't remember all the people's names.
Quite a few people were involved in that.
Yeah, and it was a big, Mirana Pigment, I think it was there, and heaps about, because we had a lot of musicians, activists back in the days. They had a great voice. And up north there, they set up a group called Maranga Mai. I think they were out there in 78, 79. And, they're pretty out there back in the days. And mainly the Northern group. And they're the one that come up with a group with protest songs. Yeah, no, I like your voice there, huh? Cool. Cool.
Oh, Don's got one of the best voices. I
love it.
Loved your voice for years, my bro.
That song is so neat to remember that song, because I remember it from marches. And it's great because it's real simple. And the best thing, the reason that they use the word chorus in the song is that's the thing that everybody sings. That's the easy bit.
Yeah.
And that song is just that's the chorus. So it's.
Well, why don't we sing that together?
Oh, I don't know if I can remember it. Ngā iwi
Kia kotahira te moana nui a ki wā.
Trouble is, you can't all sing together on Zoom, eh?
Yeah, cuts. Yeah. That's right.
There's a lag, but yeah.
I can find it on Spotify. Do you think we'll get booted if we play that on Spotify, my bro? I mean, is that in the algorithm?
Which one is it? So what are you looking at there? You could try it. I just think that we might get muted in that section. So let's just try it. Hang on, let me just turn that on for you there. And let's try it.
This is the Top Twins version.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The algorithm will catch us, but that's fine.
Oh no! Come on. Here it is. Te mana nui aki wa e ia ie mura e ia ie
Oe.
Kia maura mana motu make me te aroha Te mana motu hake
Te aroha. E ia ie. E ia ie. Oe. Wahine ma. Maranga mai kia kaha. Wahine ma. Maranga mai kia kaha. E ia.
ie e ia ie It's a pretty hearty version, actually.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Stylistically.
I wonder if we can get them along to. That'd be quite a good Waita Anthems whakatumatuma thing, wouldn't it, my bro?
Yeah. Well, you know, it was like that was the song, wasn't it? That was the song that was sung by everyone back in the day. That was kind of. So it would make sense that that happens. I'll have to. I know the sister Tawhina was out there, possibly listening to us at the moment, and but yeah.
Line it up, Te Whenua. Line it up.
Ia. Oe.
And that was your band, was it? Was it Don? You and your band?
Basically, that band was Chris O'Connor on drums, John Segovia on electric guitar, Dominic Blaser on organ, on Hammond, and me on acoustics, and Marie Tom on bass. And we recorded that at Neil Finn's studio, at the Roundhead studio. I think 2010, maybe 2009.
Yeah, I didn't realize Hideni was with that dad. He helped write that.
Yeah.
Bloody Hideni wrote everything. Jesus, just prolific. So
No,
prolific.
it was good. The cousin was good. You know, and yeah. It's a good thing about the Top Twins there. They always go to all the gigs. You know, like Eva was probably one of the very few indigenous events back in the days. And she's a forward thinker. And the Top Twins always come to that. And it's very supportive of that event every year.
What was that? That was the one in Raglan, was it?
Yeah, Raglan.
Oh, we lost Don. Or his video, at least. He seems to be still on Zoom.
But yeah, I'm still here. I'll just
yep.
see what happens. Okay.
So do you still get to hang out with your old muso mates, Don? And I mean, possibly a little bit hard at the moment, but you know, do you still get to to jam?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, the industry's really hard on people. We lose people because we lose people to drink and drugs, and but I would guess I've been lucky. The Blam 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 still, we were at Mark the guitarist's birthday. We had a sort of distance masked outdoor celebration. A few beers the other day. That was wonderful, and we still get together and play. Yeah, I mean, the cool thing, when I was about 25, I was working with Harry Sinclair in the front lawn, and we did sort of 6 pretty solid years just writing songs and touring and performing together, and then really worked together for quite a number of years, over a couple of decades, and then we've started working together again just over the last maybe 5 years, and we're working really closely. But he started working on this children's TV series, which I'm really loving, and we get to write songs together, and it's a great place to put energy. I met an old friend the other day, and he said he really likes Kitty and Lou. It's called Kitty and Lou. This thing, he really likes it because it's a place to put all our optimism.
Yeah.
Right.
And when I make an album, I think it's optimistic, but I don't know whether that's an emotion that comes through strongly in my work. But certainly when you're working for 4-year-old kids, you really got to shine the strongest light on the positive things, and that's not difficult at all.
Yeah.
Hey, is Toy still there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't you write a song with Dave Dobbin, a kid's song?
Yeah, and Jan Halregal. It was I think I contributed a couple of lyrics. I ended up singing the version that went out to all the schools. It was for Duffy Books. I'm gonna read my way around the world, jump on a train and go real far. I'm a Duffy kid and I'm a stallion, and I'm gonna read about it. Something like that. God, I can't even remember those lyrics came out of my mouth. It's been decades since I sang that. Memory's a funny thing. Yeah, it was pretty cute. It was cute. And you did right, kids bring the optimism out of you because they're not marred by, the tragedies of life and
sarcasm and cynicism. Like
Lord. And like dads now, Harry and I, when we worked together, we were both in our mid-20s, and we write about all kinds of things. But then we're both fathers now, and we tend to write stuff that we would like to sing to our kids, and because we both had kids, we kind of know what they're interested in. And then in Harry's case, that's mainly bodily functions. So there's a huge amount of songs about pooing.
Harry's a 4-year-old.
Harry has the soul of a 4-year-old, but he's the same age as me. He's but we've got a song. There's a group of little birds in the forest. It's all sort of primeval Aotearoa forest, and there's a group of little birds, and they say they're at a bit of a loss one day. They're not feeling very happy, and one of them says, "Why don't we sing the song our mother taught us?" And so they sing this song, which is called "Look Before You Poo."
I'll go. You got to play that for us, Don.
Well, I don't know if I can. Hold on up in the air, make sure no one is there, and look before you poo. Count to 10, it's only fair. Wait till when the coast is clear, and look before you poo. I don't know what happens there. I think flying high up in the trees brings responsibilities. If you don't look and just let go, it might land on someone you know.
That's great.
I get to sing it in the show, but I sing it in a kind of I use very speed. So it sounds like it's up about a fifth higher than my voice.
Hey, I got something I kind of want to say to you, Don, because I grew up into music. It was in the wanted to play the saxophone. I did eventually end up playing the saxophone, but while I waited, the only saxophone that our school had was or that was available to be used was currently used by the headmaster's son, and it was his and so he was using it at the time, and I had to wait. And so while I was waiting, I had a choice to pick another instrument to learn, and I learnt the E flat horn.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and I've always loved it, and it's just got such a beautiful sound, and because I ended up having to play it for quite like 2 or 3 years, maybe 2.5 years or something like that, and was always like, because the saxophone has a certain thing about it, it's kind of cool. And then
he thought he was pretty sexy when he played it. He had this long hair, and it was pretty good with the girls, I remember.
Yeah, but that was kind of like, that was where. But then I got given the horn, and it was like, and then it didn't quite have the same sex appeal to it. And but through playing it though, I just love the timbre of it and such a beautiful tone that it has when you really sink yourself into it. So
I played the euphonium for years and years and years. I just stopped because I was doing all these solo tours around the world, and I had to have, either buy an extra seat for it or take it as baggage.
Right.
If I got off a plane and then I got a train into the city to do a gig or something, I'd have a suitcase and a guitar and a euphonium, and I couldn't do it. So the tenor horn's much smaller and it goes in a suitcase.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to adjust, because the euphonium is kind of such a deep, rich sort of sound, and the tenor horn is much lighter compared to it. But I'm coming to really love it now. But you're right, it's not anywhere near as groovy as saxophone to look at.
Oh, I don't know. I say, I've seen you play it over the years, and kind of where you've introduced it into songs, and I've gone, yes, the E flat horn, yes, the horn.
I was trying to make it cool. It was a sort of a one man effort to try and make the euphonium cool, and I think most people would say it failed, because I don't see lots of rock and roll. I don't see lots of rock and roll bands fronted by somebody playing the euphonium or the tenor horn at this stage. But maybe it's got to wait a generation.
What did you pull out?
You've got Lizzie playing the flute at the moment, and all of her stuff. She's kind of brought it.
Yeah.
Lizzo.
There's bands like all those what's that band, Beirut? This kind of and Arcade Fire, where they've got a whole bunch of people, and there's somebody playing a horn. There's a couple of quite groovy American bands at the moment where somebody's playing something that looks like a tuba.
Right.
I think that's just it's just for sort of novelty's sake. There was a guy in Hunters and, you remember Hunters and Collectors?
Yes, I do.
A wonderful guy called Jeremy who played French horn in that band. And French horn's a really hard instrument to play, and I've never seen anybody play it in a rock and roll band except him.
Of course, you had Ian Anderson and Jethro Tull rocking the flute out there with a rock band.
Yeah.
What was the horn that you pulled out before as part of Dominion Road?
Jumper.
Tenor horn. That's a tenor horn. So that's what Wyatt used to play. And the other one, hang on a minute. The other one over here.
That's some rifling through instrument ASMR for the folks at home.
Yeah.
Which is bigger. It's sort of halfway between the tenor horn and the tuba. So this is what I played in the Muttonbirds and Blam Blam Blam. It's quite a deep sound, and this guy. So it's almost like a flugelhorn or a cornet. It's a beautiful sound. But the thing about this is it's just such a drag to carry around, and and when I don't take it on tour, and I come back to my studio, it's sitting there silently accusing me.
You left me behind. You don't really care about me, Don.
Just a piece of metal, but it's got quite weight, I suppose, in it, and it gives me a real hard time when I neglect it.
And the part that it played that you played the tenor horn inside of Dominion Road, is that the original part, the original instrument that played that part?
Oh, that's a guitar line.
That's what I thought. But it sounded great in the tenor horn. I loved how you did that.
I'm trying to when I play solo, I use loops, and I tend to play the melodies on the horn and the loops for backing vocals as well. Yeah.
That was super cool.
One last one, or you?
Yeah. No, actually, Don, that'd be great if you could do us one last one. We actually, like we said, we were going to say
we're coming up to the 2 hour mark.
Yeah, we're actually coming up to our 2 hour mark. So
this is an old front lawn song, and it's just one that I use it. It's one that I use a tenor horn in. So here we go. Oh, that's not right. Better play the right song. Them lying there, sleeping in each other's arms. Oh, don't wake them up, leave them sleeping. Oh, don't wake them up, don't let them know we've seen them. Don't say a word to anyone, 'cause that's Sarah there. That's Eugene's wife, but that's not Eugene. Oh. Oh, look, it's none of our business. Sometimes people just have to tangle up their lives. Oh, oh, man and a man. Look at them lying there, sleeping in each other's arms. Oh, don't wake them up, sleeping. Oh, don't wake them up. They look just like a picture. Don't try to tell me that it's wrong. Sure, Eugene's my friend, but he doesn't have to know. So let's just go now.
High five.
ora, Don.
Thank you for that.
Kia ora, my bro.
Amazing stuff. Whānau, show some love in the comments. It's been such an honour and a pleasure to have you with us this evening, Don, just to kick it with us. Feels like we've just kind of been sitting around the fireplace and just having yarns and music, and it's just been amazing. So
It's been a real honour for me to be able to hang with you guys and to meet you finally, Tame. It's been a real honour and great to be part of this sort of family that you're building in this broadcast that you're putting out to the world, and also just watch you make your art too. I want to see more of it.
yeah, well, once we're out of these crazy times, we should definitely organise a face-to-face and yeah, just enjoy each other's company. So
Kei aku i te mihi, Dad.
Yeah. I'm here tonight, kia koe, Don. Thank you for that. And I have heard your voice many a times over the years, and thank you to the artists. And I always used to remember there was a big banner during the Springbok tour, artists against the tour, musicians against the tour, and all of that. So thank you for your input for today and share your kōrero, your whakapapa. And we all have a role to play as a performing artist, as artists, so forth. So, kia ora ia koe, my bro. We'll catch up with you again.
Ngā mihi.
And so for all those whānau out there in the streaming land, thank you for joining us this evening. We'll be back again on. What's that, Dad?
Yeah. Can you talk about how we're getting on with the silent auction?
We'll let Don go before we move into the art sales.
Yeah. Okay, Don.
Cheers, Don. We'll be in touch.
Bye.
Yes, you go.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And now a word from our sponsor.
Yeah.
Hey, which is really cool actually, because none of this is funded, all of this is funded by you fellas who want to connect with Dad, Tame Iti, the artist, and in a way by purchasing the artwork. And it is through that connection and through it is a word from your sponsor. So
well, if we were going to monetize, we'd be playing someone else's ads in this time, right?
yeah,
So it makes sense that we're doing our own ads. The auction's going really well. Auction 1 has finished. We sold all of the paintings in auction 1. So congratulations to all those that put in a successful bid. We are into auction 2. So possibly just worth mentioning, we've put on the website there's an estimated value of the artworks. So you can submit, and if you're underneath that, outside of that estimated value, or sort of underneath it, then we'll sort of a negotiation that's involved with that. But for the most part, everyone's
the bottom end of the spectrum of the estimation is you could consider the reserve and trade me kind of speak.
Yeah, and so but look, it's going really well. There's some very happy people who've managed to take a couple of what I think they're all amazing, but one of my favorites, which was the Te Ao, what's the name of that one?
Te Ao.
The big one.
Yeah.
Actually,
There's a piece.
Yeah, that was a big one.
That was
so
a
that
piece.
one's gone. We lost Dad.
That camera.
Let's look, that camera shut off.
Yeah.
Anyway, Whānau, that's there, tameiti.co.nz. Go check it out. There's plenty of we're doing them in a series, so we're releasing them in batches, so that way you've got an opportunity to if you miss out on one batch, then you've got an opportunity to have another go in the next series or the next lot. So it's going good, Dad. So
Cool.
They're running, each of those auctions is running at a week at a time. So we're into auction 2. That will close on Thursday night, 12 p.m. a.m. Yep, and then
There's bids in already on those.
Yeah, there's bids. There's bids coming in at the moment. So get in, give us your best offer, see how you go.
Yeah.
That was cool having Don.
Dude, that was great.
Yeah.
I've been a big fan of Don since I was a teenager. He has an incredible voice. It's been recorded so
his
well. over the
songwriting is
years. just a storyteller.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
those are the musicians I love. They tell a story. You can follow that story, and they're usually stories of beauty. So, I love that. What a cool dude.
Yeah, I was really lucky last year during lockdown because he wanted to do some live streaming from home in his home in Canada. And he was doing it in like he was just doing it with his phone or just like it was a real it was a basic setup, and so I was helping him run it, get it a little bit sort of more professional for him. And
Sounds like what Dad was doing with his artwork
yeah.
on his phone.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but then just sitting in the room and having him play an entire set, it was just me and him, and you're just like, wow, this is so amazing just to be in his presence, listening to like a, it was interesting hearing talking about as long as your tools are sharp.
Yeah,
I thought that was
totally.
I thought it was a really nice little analogy, or
Yeah.
like metaphor that he used there. Cause,
around craft.
yeah, and being a master, and that's
Yeah.
what he is. He's a master
Yeah.
of songwriting. So,
Yeah.
all right, you fellas, I'm gonna go cook some kai and
Okay.
play some. What's the game my son's playing at the moment?
Pavlov.
Pavlov.
Is he playing Pavlov? That makes me sick.
Yeah.
We're talking VR, Whānau, so you put it on and like you move around so fast. And hey, I jumped on in Tauranga in one of those Ready Player One rigs. You know, where you got the thing there and you can walk. But see, I was under the assumption that when you walked, that would actually control the movement, but it doesn't. You've still got to actually use the controller to move.
Oh, really?
And I was like, yeah, I don't know whether, because it was a teenager who was like, manning the station, so I'm not sure if it wasn't hooked up properly.
Yeah.
But they had probably, I would say, 6 different VR rides, which, one of them was you sat in it and you kind of like moved around a little bit. I saw these kids lined up in there, but it's, with Facebook becoming metaverse, God, isn't that? Mark Zuckerberg is not the one. Sorry, Mark, don't boot us off your platform, bro. But, cuz. Did you see that one where he was like, when I was human, I mean, I am human. Like it slipped out, I was human. Did you see that clip?
Oh, yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. No, he's an alien. What else was I going to say? I've I was running. I think I was telling you the other day. I was running it all my planning maps that I built in SketchUp.
Oh yes.
So it was quite out of it because I could walk through Soundsplash, the 3D model I made of Soundsplash.
Wow.
Like it was
And
actually
like you were
remarkable
there.
how close it was to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was good fun.
That's good fun. Okay, well, let you go and do that, my bro.
Choice on people.
You all good, Dad?
Okay, all good.
Yeah, the camera's here. That one died.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Kia ora koutou e wama. Rarau mai tēnei konei anō Saturday. And who we got on Saturday, Wazy?
Oh, so
It's Saturday today.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Wednesday.
Oh no, the future has arrived. It started already.
Jesus, it's getting quite demanding. That's really what I'm doing. Okay, well, actually, now that you mention it, I don't know. It was cool having the brother Turumakina on there on Wednesday night. It was nice just having him hang out while he did his moko.
Very cool.
And then, so I don't know. We'll suss somebody out for Wednesday, but Vox Dawn, I think she's coming down next weekend, so she'll be in studio. Doing a couple of songs, I think, or at least one song, a song that she's released, and so she'll be here next week.
Vox Dawn.
Yeah, Vox, Sister Vox.
It's just coming in the studio.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. And so,
Cool.
I thought Chaz was going to be around. I thought he was here today.
Yeah, he is, but he's somewhere else.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, it'd be cool if he's around. If he's still in civilization on Wednesday, then if he's around, we could have him.
Get someone from overseas.
Hey?
Get someone from overseas. Anyway.
Oh yeah. Okay. I'll have to talk to our producer. We've had offers, so we've got.
Oh, okay. We have, haven't we?
Yeah. So
everyone seems to have an opinion.
Yeah.
No, cool. Ka pai. Me, my bro.
Cheers, whānau.
Toys.
Talk
Got a
soon.
whānau. Thank you.
Hey,